The night sky had always been a canvas of quiet stars, but tonight it felt heavier, as if the heavens themselves were holding their breath. Dr. Elara Vey stood on the rooftop of the Global Science Council headquarters in Geneva, her hands trembling against the cold railing. Below her, the city still pulsed with life. People laughing in the streets, neon lights painting the air with colors, but none of them knew what she knew. None of them carried the weight of the message that had arrived. She closed her eyes and tried to steady her breathing. The transmission had been clear, impossibly clear, as if the voice had been whispering directly into her bones. You must choose. One choice will decide the fate of your kind. It hadn't come from Earth. The signal triangulation confirmed it. It came from the void between the stars, from a civilization so advanced that humanity could barely comprehend the scope of their existence. And the choice was not theoretical. They had given her, Elara, of all people, the authority to decide. Not governments, not armies, not corporations, just one human heart to weigh the fate of billions. The doors behind her slid open and Admiral Kalin stepped onto the rooftop, his polished boots clicking against the steel. His voice was low, steady, but it carried the sharpness of a man accustomed to command. Dr. Vey, the council is waiting. You can't delay forever. I'm not ready, she whispered, her breath clouding in the cold air. No one is ever ready to decide the future of the world, Kalin said, walking closer. His uniform caught the silver light of the moon, his metals glinting faintly. He stopped beside her, and for a moment, his rigid posture softened. What did they say to you? Not the technical briefing, the words. Elara swallowed, her throat dry. She repeated them slowly, as if speaking them aloud made them heavier. They said humanity stands at a crossroads. We can join them, merge into their collective, evolve beyond the limits of flesh and time. Or we can refuse, remain as we are, and risk annihilation. Kalin's jaw tightened. And the catch? They will not offer this again, she said. Her voice broke. One choice, Admiral. One moment in history. And if I choose wrong? He cut her off gently. There is no wrong or right. There is only what you believe is worth protecting. Her heart twisted. Worth protecting? What did that mean? Was it worth protecting the fragile beauty of humanity? Our flaws, our mistakes, our fragile bodies that a single disease could destroy? Or was it worth protecting the dream of something greater, something that could free them from hunger, pain, and death itself, at the cost of their individuality? When she had been chosen, she had asked them why her. The alien voice, melodic and infinite, had answered, because your heart grieves. Only one who grieves for all of humanity can make a choice for them. She thought of her daughter, Aya, who had died at the age of 7 when the hospitals had failed. She thought of the way Aya had smiled through the pain, telling her, "Don't cry, Mama. Maybe the stars will take care of me." That memory had driven Elara into science, into politics, into every desperate attempt to change the world. And now, perhaps the stars truly were offering to take care of them. But at what cost? Kalin's voice brought her back. Elara, the council will pressure you. They'll want to vote. But the aliens chose you. That means you can't hide behind politics. You have to decide. Her hands gripped the railing until her knuckles whitened. How do you choose between humanity as it is and humanity as it could be? He looked at her with tired eyes. You don't. You choose between love and fear. The words lingered as they walked back inside. The council chamber was vast, a ring of delegates from every nation staring at her as if she were already more than human. Screens behind them displayed the alien message, looping endlessly in every language. One choice will decide the fate of your kind. The Secretary General rose. Dr. Vey, we are ready for your recommendation. Her heart pounded. She looked at the faces around her. Leaders of nations that had fought each other for centuries. Scientists who had dedicated their lives to discovery. Citizens who had tuned in through the live global broadcast, waiting to see if they would wake tomorrow in a familiar world or a transformed one. And she realized with a chill that in this moment, she was not a scientist, not a mother, not a woman of grief. She was humanity itself, standing at the crossroads. Her lips parted, the words trembling in her throat. The chamber fell silent as Elara's voice wavered on the edge of the decision. The cameras floated quietly in the air, capturing every breath, every flicker of hesitation, broadcasting them to every corner of Earth. Billions of people leaned toward their screens, not daring to blink, waiting for one woman's choice. Her throat closed. The words would not come. For a heartbeat, she imagined saying yes, accepting the alien offer, stepping into a future where no child ever died of hunger, where war was impossible, where pain was just a shadow of memory. She imagined Aya's face alive again, not as flesh, but as light, part of a greater collective. She imagined herself never having to feel the shattering loneliness that had hollowed her since her daughter's last breath. But then another vision clawed its way into her mind. Humanity dissolving, voices merging into one, individuality fading like smoke in the wind. Would Aya still be Aya? Would laughter still feel like laughter if it belonged to everyone at once? Would love still burn with the same fire if it were not hers alone to feel? Her silence stretched on too long. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Dr. Vey, the Secretary General urged, his voice sharp with the fear of uncertainty. The world waits. Speak. Elara's chest tightened. I cannot answer yet. Not tonight. Gasps erupted. Some shouted in anger, others in disbelief. The council chamber exploded into noise, a storm of voices clashing, debating, condemning. Some delegates demanded immediate acceptance, crying that humanity could not risk extinction. Others thundered against surrender, declaring that to give up their identity was a fate worse than death. The admiral stood firm at her side, shielding her from the chaos with his presence. He whispered just for her, "You bought us time." But not much. The council was adjourned in fury, and as Elara left the chamber, she felt the crushing weight of billions pressing down on her soul. Every step echoed with the voices of those who believed she had doomed them by hesitating. That night she returned to her quarters, alone except for the low hum of the monitors that never ceased watching. Sleep refused her. She sat at her desk, staring at Aya's photograph, a small girl with dark curls and eyes too bright for a world that had failed her. Elara touched the glass frame, her voice breaking into the silence. What would you have wanted, my star? To live forever as part of something greater, or to burn brightly for a short while as yourself? The photograph, of course, gave no answer. But in her exhaustion, her mind drifted, and she dreamed. In her dream, she walked through a meadow under two suns. Aya was there, running barefoot through the tall grass, her laughter ringing like silver bells. Elara chased after her, heart surging with joy she hadn't felt in years. But when she caught her, Aya's eyes glowed with an alien light, her voice layered with countless tones as she said, "We are not yours. We are all." Elara woke in terror, her face wet with tears. She clutched the photo to her chest until dawn bled into the sky. The following day, the aliens spoke again. Their message did not come in words this time, but in visions broadcast into every mind across Earth. Cities rebuilt in radiant crystal, people shimmering as beings of energy, humanity freed from the decay of flesh. And alongside this paradise, they showed the alternative, a world of fire, oceans boiling, skies darkened with ash. They did not show how or when, only that refusal meant destruction. Panic erupted across nations. Riots filled the streets. Some begged for the transformation to begin immediately, desperate for salvation. Others burned effigies of alien figures, shouting that humanity must never kneel to outsiders. Families fractured, friendships shattered, lovers turned against each other over the question. And through it all, every eye still turned to Elara Vey. She was summoned to a private meeting with Admiral Kalen in the war room, deep beneath the earth. The room was built to withstand nuclear fire, yet tonight it felt suffocating. He leaned over the table, his expression grim. The military is preparing for the worst. If you reject them, we must be ready for retaliation. You think we can fight them? Elara asked bitterly. No, he admitted. But humanity has never gone down without a fight. Some believe resistance, even in defeat, is the only way to remain truly human. Elara's voice cracked. And if I say yes, then humanity never fights again. We surrender without a battle. Kalen looked at her for a long moment, then asked softly, which would Aya have wanted? For you to fight until your last breath, or for you to give her a chance at life eternal, even if it is not the life you dreamed? Her heart ached with the weight of the question. Aya's smile haunted her. The choice pressed closer, sharper, an impossible blade she could not escape. As she left the war room, she realized something that chilled her blood. The aliens had not forced her to decide immediately, but they were shaping the world around her, driving humanity into desperation. Perhaps it was not a gift they were offering. Perhaps it was a test. And if it was a test, then one choice. Her choice would not only decide humanity's fate, it would decide what humanity truly was. The world fractured. In New York, 500,000 people gathered in the streets, carrying banners that read "Ascend Now." They sang hymns to the stars, voices blending into a desperate plea that their suffering would end. In Cairo, crowds burned alien effigies and raised old flags of sovereignty, swearing they would never dissolve into a collective. In Beijing, soldiers clashed with protesters, while in Mumbai, families wept in candlelit vigils, praying for guidance. Across every continent, the same divisions tore through homes. Parents argued with children, lovers shouted until silence broke them apart. It no longer mattered whether people were rich or poor, powerful or powerless. Everyone was bound to the same impossible question. What does it mean to be human? Elara saw it all. The council fed her endless reports, news broadcasts, intercepted private messages. She watched until her eyes burned, until her heart could no longer bear the sight of humanity unraveling under the weight of one choice. And everywhere, her name was spoken, sometimes with hope, sometimes with hatred. The weight became unbearable. One evening, after yet another council meeting drowned in screams, she fled into the night, slipping away from her guards. She found herself wandering through the quiet outskirts of the city, where the air smelled of rain and earth, far from the polished walls of power. She sat on a park bench beneath the dim glow of an old streetlight and buried her face in her hands. "Do you believe you're the only one carrying this?" a voice asked. She looked up sharply. A man sat across the bench, older, with lines etched deep into his face. His clothes were ragged, his shoes worn. A stranger, yet his eyes carried a strange calmness. "Who are you?" Elara whispered. "Someone who has lost, just as you have," he said. "My wife died of hunger 5 winters ago. My son drowned when the floods came. I begged the stars for mercy, but they never answered. Not until now." Her heart clenched. "And what do you want me to choose?" The man smiled sadly. "It doesn't matter what I want. What matters is whether you believe mercy lies in surrender or in defiance. Both roads are filled with grief, but only one will let you sleep at night." She stared at him, searching for something, an answer, a truth, but he rose and walked away, vanishing into the dark. For a moment, she wondered if he had been real at all, or if her mind had conjured him out of her exhaustion. The next morning, the alien spoke again. This time, it was personal. Elara was alone in her quarters when the walls shimmered with light, forming the outline of a figure. It was not human, yet it had chosen a form she could bear to look upon. A tall silhouette woven of starlight, eyes like galaxies spinning with eternity. Its voice resonated inside her chest, layered and endless. "You hesitate. Why?" Elara's voice cracked. "Because I don't know if what you offer is salvation or annihilation." "Both," the being said simply. "An old self must die for a new self to be born. Do you mourn the caterpillar when it becomes the butterfly?" Her throat tightened. "But a butterfly is not the caterpillar. It is something else entirely." The being tilted its head, as if amused. "Then ask yourself, do you wish humanity to remain as the caterpillar, crawling in the dirt of war and death, or to rise as something beyond?" Tears burned her eyes. "And if I refuse?" The being's light dimmed slightly. "Then your species will fade, not by our hand, but by the weight of its own choices. The wars, the hunger, the poison you spill into your skies. You will vanish, as countless others have. We offer not punishment, but escape." She shook her head. "Why me? Why not the leaders of nations, the voices of billions? Why put this on one broken woman?" The being's eyes deepened, galaxies swirling. "Because your grief makes you honest. You have known love. You have known loss. You do not seek power, only meaning. That is why you were chosen." And with that, it was gone. Elara collapsed to her knees, sobbing into the silence. Aya's name tore from her throat like a prayer. She pressed her forehead against the cold floor, whispering, "What do I do, my star? Tell me, please tell me what to do." But no answer came. Days turned to weeks. Nations fractured further, some threatening war against each other for the right to decide first. The council begged her to speak. The world teetered on the edge of collapse, but still she could not choose. Her silence became a torment greater than any decision could have been. Finally, Admiral Kalen came to her, his eyes heavy with exhaustion. "Elara," he said quietly, "you cannot wait any longer. The world is tearing itself apart while you grieve. If you do not decide, there will be nothing left to save." She looked at him through red-rimmed eyes. "Do you think I don't know that? Do you think I sleep at night, knowing every scream out there is because of me?" Kalen's voice softened. "I think you are human, and humans were never meant to carry the weight of eternity alone." Something inside her broke then. She leaned into him, trembling, and for the first time since Aya's death, she let herself be held. He did not offer her answers. He only let her weep. But as the tears fell, somewhere deep within her, a seed of resolve began to stir. She realized she could not delay forever. The choice would come, and when it did, she would have to decide not with logic or fear, but with love, the only compass she had left.